A new report indicates the feds have been secretly monitoring the emails of several Muslim Americans, all of whom fiercely deny any connections to terror. In fact, there is no indication that any of these 5 persons has any connection of any kind to anything like terrorism, period. Stop. According to the journalist Glenn Greenwald, documents from the NSA leaker Ed Snowden show the government kept tabs on the 5 men anyway, including a former Homeland Security official under former President George W. Bush, and the executive director of the Council on American Islamic Relations, the largest Muslim civil rights organization in our nation. Glenn Greenwald joins us now. He broke the news on his website, The Intercept. He's also the author of the book, No Place to Hide, Edward Snowden, the NSA, and the U.S. Surveillance State. Ed, you were on the program with us, a couple of weeks ago, and then this got delayed a little bit, and you were talking bombshells and fireworks and all that. Glenn, to be quite Frank, in today's news cycle, this is being played below President Obama being offered a puff pass in Colorado. I mean, was there more and I'm missing it?
It's gotten a lot of play. We just posted it last night at midnight. The New York Times has a very long article on it that's being promoted as the top story or the second story. The fact is that there are people who look at the targets and will think, oh, that's only Muslims, and even though they're my fellow Americans, I'm not really bothered by it. I think sometimes that's part of it, but I think the implications are sinking in nicely.
Are there more names? Are there more people? Were there some who wouldn't cooperate? Or help me understand the bigger picture.
Yeah, this is a really hard story to report. For one thing, we wanted to make sure that anybody that we reported, we were very comfortable that we weren't, blowing a legitimate ongoing investigation. And at the same time, a lot of people did not want to be publicly identified as being targets of the FBI or the NSA for fear of the stigma that it would produce. And we wanted to honor people's wishes in that regard and not drag them unwittingly into the public light, especially if they were private individuals. So all of these 5 were people who were willing to come forward and speak out. We felt like they were very illustrative cases. 5 is a manageable number to report, and our investigation into this list is definitely ongoing.
Is this the finale? Is there more we're going to learn from the Snowden documents, or is this the finish?
No, I have stories that are already written, in fact, that still will be published. Other journalists from around the world are working with us on the archive. There's definitely a lot more big stories to come, but for me, this fills in a really important part of the picture, which is putting a human face on how we all know that the Obama administration is bulk surveilling all of us, but this puts a human face on the kinds of dangers that can be presented to dissidents or people who criticize the government from the most invasive forms of surveillance. So it's important, but not the last.
Our Judge Napolitano talks a lot about how surprised he is that we keep getting these revelations that the government is doing this, that, and the other thing that are extra constitutional, and yet people aren't jumping up and down screaming about it. And I wonder if you have thoughts on that.
Well, hopefully, one of the things that the government has succeeded in doing, a lot of people have tried to sue the government and to claim that this spying is unconstitutional, that it violates our Fourth Amendment rights. And the government has succeeded in getting all of those cases thrown out on the grounds that nobody can prove with certainty that they were subjected to the spying because it's all secret, and therefore they don't have standing to sue. So one of the things this story will do is now let people, specific surveillance targets, go into court and say they were subjected to it and get a ruling about whether or not this really is consistent with our Fourth Amendment rights. And I think that'll help public perception. And I do think that people have been very interested in the Snowden revelations, which is why a year later we're still talking about it.
Right, you are. Glenn Greenwald with us from Brazil. Brazil, by the way, after the Blitzkrieg yesterday, how are they doing?
Things aren't too joyful here, Shep. They're still processing their own shock.
I'm sure
so
they
hopefully
are.
They'll get over it soon.
If Argentina lose today, then it would be Brazil and Argentina in the game on Saturday, and that could be epic. Think there are problems now. Hey, Glenn Greenwald, nice to see you. Good luck. Best of travels.
Thanks very much, Shep.